Video, we're going to compare an Ivy invoice line item to an invoice line item on QuickBooks Online. In Ivy, here, we've got a couple different line items, and we notice that we've got the title, the description, the image, quantity, cost. But we also have the markup, so you can set your actual item cost and then mark it up to whatever you want the price to be to your client. Ivy also includes the ability to add shipping costs, mark up that shipping cost, and then mark whether both the item and the shipping, or only one of them, is taxable. Ivy also includes project-related items, and so here, this line item can be associated with a room, which is also important for organizational purposes, but also if you're setting up different budgets and want to associate items with that budget. Here, just for example purposes, we went ahead and added an additional line item and made a couple differences. Both of them indeed have markup, both of them have shipping, but I've only marked one of them where the shipping is indeed taxable. So let's go ahead and click on Save and see what happens in QuickBooks Online. Here, if I refresh the page, the new invoice should indeed come over. Once QuickBooks loads, we should see an additional invoice for this customer. And there it is. Let's go ahead and click in and compare what we had in Ivy to what we're seeing here in QuickBooks Online. First of all, let's go over what the options are for a line item here in QuickBooks. They, of course, do have the title and the description, but they do not have the ability to add a markup. They only have quantity times rate, which will give you that final price to the client. Okay, so in Ivy, of course, we also added an additional column for markup, which will then take the cost times the markup, which will give you the rate that you see here in QuickBooks. QuickBooks does offer you shipping per document, but does not offer you shipping per line item. Okay, so here, if you wanted to, you could add a total shipping cost for all of the items on your invoice, but again, that's not going to be per line item, and there's no option here to mark that shipping as taxable. Okay, so here, if we go over the items, we can see that indeed these are the first two items that we added. Both of them were indeed taxable. And for shipping, because we marked one of them as taxable and one of them is not taxable, we needed to make sure that we created two line items so we can record this differently. Of course, one that is taxable and the other one that isn't taxable. So if we jump back to Ivy now, we should see by going into the Manage mode, a little bit more about it. Here we can see the markup that was indeed added, and of course we can see the shipping. And here you see that this T is right here. That's indicating that this shipping was indeed marked as taxable, and this 150 does not have a T next to it, so the 150 is the one we expect not to be taxed. Going back to QuickBooks, we see shipping cost for non-tax shipping costs. The 150 is indeed the one that's not taxed. So this is how we understand how the line item on Ivy matches over to QuickBooks Online, so all your numbers are correct, but on Ivy, you have a number more options per line item. Thanks.